one of the little darling rubber stamps that I got, and this is the Saturated Canary Honey. I've cut round the stamp nice and tight, and all I did was put a bit of tape onto my matte block here, so you can just see that there, and then you literally can just pop her down onto there, and she's nice and firm and ready for stamp. Now I have got my Memento ink pad in Tuxedo Black. Now the reason that I'm using this one is because I may be using my Pro markers, so it's safer to do it in that. Anyway, so let's ink this up. Now I haven't stamped with this one yet, so we may need to do like a test stamp, but I can always do it on the other side again if necessary. But it seems to be inking up nicely. Okay, just making sure that all those are done, and it seems a really nice stamp, I have to say. It seems to have inked up beautifully. And then we're gonna place it, give it a nice firm push. Remember, we're on this nice foam background, so okay. Oh, isn't that beautiful? That's come up so nice. I'm really pleased with that. Really crisp image, and she's so lovely, so sweet. I really like her. Look at that, so sharp and such thin lines as well. Okay, so while she dries off a little bit, just let that ink dry, we're going to work on the rest of the card. Okay, so I've got a 6x6 card, well, it's a 6x12 card base, which I am folding to create a 6x6 square card. This is just a white base, and I will be decorating it on the inside as well as the outside. I think it would be nice to have it a top folding card for a change. I quite like top folding cards. And what I've got is a number of papers that I've already pre-cut to size, which I'll talk through with you as we put this card together. Okay, so this first layer is this gorgeous sort of lemon, sort of soft muted lemony yellow tone, and this came from this set of Anna Griffin bouquet of 6x6 cardstock, and it's already done in the 6x6, and you get loads of beautiful paper in here. And so that yellow I used, which is that one there, and I also used a piece of blue, this one here, which I'll show you in a minute what that's for. So those two I got from this set, which is, as I say, a really nice set. And then I also used this basic grey Eva pack, and I just took a piece of pink from here, but again, lovely paper in here. I do like my basic grey, as you guys know. I've got quite a bit of that. So that is the two packs that I use. So this one's the Anna Griffin, so let's pop that down first. And as I say, this is 6 inches square. Now I always start at the folded edge and work down, because if for any reason it's too long or too short, it's always easier to cut it off the edge that's open rather than the folded edge. So that's that piece done. I then took a piece of the pink sort of mottled, sort of marbly paper from that Eva basic grey, and this is 5 3/4 inches square, and that's going to go down next. So I'm just going to ink around the edges of my pink piece of cardstock, and I've got this Colourbox Dusty Plum, which is a very pretty colour, and just a bit of sponge. So I'm just going to ink around. I think there's a nice, I've just done it a little bit bigger than I normally do, because I normally do like 1/8 of an inch off, but this time I've gone down 1/4 of an inch. So this was 5 3/4 square, the pink, and it's just so that yellow sort of colour shows through a little bit more. I just think that's really nice. And now the next thing we've got is a few bits and pieces here that we've cut out, so let me just run through a little bit more of that lovely yellow, and I've cut it at that was, by the way, sorry, the blue piece was 5 3/4 by 2 3/4, so 5 3/4 wide by 2 3/4 deep. The two yellow pieces I punched the two edges, and then I cut it once it was done. It's it's at 5 3/4 wide again, and once it was punched I cut it to 1.5 inches. Yeah, 1.5 inches deep, and the punch that I used was this lovely Martha Stewart punch. Again, I'm not quite sure of the name of it, but it's a really pretty punch. So we've done that, and then I just cut 2 more pieces of the milk coloured card that we used to stamp our image on, just 2 strips, and one was it's 5 3/4 wide by 1 1/4. But again, that's not so important. It doesn't really matter exactly the size on that, because it's going to be sitting behind. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop our white piece on the edges of our blue. So in order to make sure it's stuck down, we do the edge of the blue piece and then the edge of our white piece. Oops. If we had any glue, there we go. And what happens is that when you then stick it, you're going to have this piece stuck down and then this piece stuck down, so it's going to be absolutely perfect. You know, both edges are going to be caught nicely. So then we're just going to line that like that, and I think we just want a small amount, just almost not very much at all, sort of just about 1/4 inch. And this is really just a little edge of white, just to give a little definition to our blue piece here. So we just pop that on, and then we're going to do exactly the same for the other side. Okay, so that's both sides there done, and then we're going to add our yellow piece. But what I'm just trying to decide, and I think I will do, is I want to ink just down the edge of my cream piece here. So I'm just going to bring my mat back in and get my sponge and just very lightly just ink a little bit of the pink along this edge. Okay, so there's that bit inked, and then we're just going to now take our little punched borders in the yellow and do the same again that we did with the white, and just add this onto the edge here. So again, just judging where we want that to be, which is fairly simple because we know we want to line, well, I want to line it up with those holes. There we go. So that's that one done. And then the same the other side. So that's those 2 edges done. And again, I want to just very carefully add a tiny hint of the pink to the edge of our yellow. I just want to bring the colour in. I just think it softens it down, and it just leaves a little bit of a hint of that colour on there. So that's that done, which I think looks really pretty. Okay, so we've got our stamp here, and as I said, I left it to dry. Now, it was quite dark when I finished, so I've gone over another day, so don't think you've gone mad and it's a different person. I have changed my nails, so they are a different colour. So don't panic, it's still me. But I went through my pro markers and I just did a few sort of little check marks on a piece of card the same, just to choose some colours that would go nicely with our collection of colour papers. I've sorted out my colours, and I'll tell you what they are as and when we use them. So we'll put this to one side now, and we'll get on with colouring this young lady in. So now I haven't decided on her hair yet, so I'm going to leave that. So the first thing I do need to do is her skin of her face, I think, and her eyes. So we've come in a bit closer for you so that you can see what I'm doing. So the first colour that I'm going to use is blush. It's a really good colour for skin, and it's just so useful. So I'm going to just go in carefully, not going obviously on the whites of her eyes. And don't forget that with pro markers, the colour does soften down when it dries, so don't panic necessarily to start with if you think, oh my goodness. And that's why it's worth testing it on a piece of card. Make sure you use the same cardstock, but that's why it's worth testing, because it makes such a difference when it dries down. And I think this is actually all the skin that we've got because, oh no, there's a little arm just down the back here. Just a little piece here and a little bit there. Okay, and then I'm going to leave the lid off that, and I'm going to take, the next colour is pastel pink, and it's a great colour for cheeks and things. So we're just going to add a little bit in there and a little bit in there, and then all we do is we take back our blush and we just gently blend that in, and as I say, that will soften down. So, and you can see already it's really blended in already. So once it dries, we're going to get a nice colour. Now we want just a little shading, sort of a tiny bit of pink in here, just to sort of give her a bit of shading. And just by doing a second layer of our blush over the top once this coat's dry, it's going to give some darkness. Just a tiny bit of this in there, just to add a little. There we go. And then I want to add some blush on her lips. Sorry, not blush, this will be pastel pink. Just to give her lips a nice pink colour. And on that one we really don't need to blend that in. And then I need to add a little darkness on the top of her eye. So I'm just going to take a little bit of satin just to add just like a hint that it's slightly darker on that area, and also just a little bit round here by her nose and her hairline and her jawline down here. And then I'm just going to take my blush again and just blend over that again. There we go. And then we're going to take some powder blue, and I'm just going to add some colour very carefully to her eyes. So she's going to have beautiful big blue eyes. There we go. She's coming gorgeous already. Okay, now I'm not doing her hair at the moment because I really don't know what colour I want, so I'm just going to leave that for the moment. But I'm now going to start on her t-shirt, and I want that in the greeny blues that are going to match my card. So I've picked out 3 tones for that, and I've got soft green, it calls it, but it's kind of an aqua kind of colour, aqua-y blue really, and tea green and pastel green. So I mean, they clearly are more towards the green tones of blue, but they're kind of a bluey green more than a greeny green. I decided instead of the tea green, I'm actually going to use the pastel blue for the main colour, and by adding in soft green, hopefully that will blend together to make the kind of colour that I'm going for, because I'm just worried that it's going to go slightly towards the green, and then it will green up my paper. It'll give the illusion of it being more green than it is. So we're going to just gently pop in some of this all around these edges. Like so. So I've left the centre white. I'm going to use my tea green and just go into the centre there a bit more. And then I'm going to get a blender pen just to blend those all in together. So we don't add colour, but we just blend. And don't worry that sometimes the blender pen makes it look like it's going yellow. That's normal. It will dry out. Then I'm going to take my soft green and I'm going to go all around these edges, because I really want to add in the tone that we had. And then I'm going to use this blue just to blend those edges in a bit more. And then lastly, just a bit of our blender pen just to take that through. Look at the colour of the t-shirt against the paper, it's coming up quite nicely. I think we'll just leave that to dry for a minute because it may need a bit more work. Then I've got, now I'm going to do the skirt, and I've got my pinks for the skirt, and I've got pale pink, baby pink, and rose pink. So we're going to start with the pale, actually I'm going to start with the dark colour today. So I'm going to take the darker colour and I'm going to just start working on some of these pieces here that would be darker. Okay, and we'll come to the under part of her skirt in a moment, and then we're going to take our baby pink, just start putting a little bit more colour in. And we're almost going over the same colour here because it's still quite a strong colour, but it's just giving tone. And then lastly, just to blend that all together, hopefully, we're going to take our pale pink, and then I'm going to take my blender pen again just to pull some of that colour together over the bits that are white and just blend them all together a bit more. You can see how the blender pen's making it look a bit grey, but that's just where the ink's gone on, the blender ink's gone on. As soon as that's evaporated, it will go back to being a just normal colour. Okay, so that's looking really pretty. I like the skirt there. And then we want to put the skirt to have the darker underneath, so we're going to go for the rose pink rather, and that probably will give it a nice lift as well. So and I'm going to add some of the really bright pink, I think, just to give it a bit more oomph. I want to add a bit more definition to our dark pieces here, so I'm just going to add a bit more. There we go. And then we've got this really bright pink, which is cerise, and I just want to go on some of this bit here on the under part of her skirt, just to give it a little bit of a pop. There we go. I think that's looking really pretty, and you can see now how the t-shirt's settled down, the colour's really gone nicely. So now we're just going to colour in the heart, like so. I'm going to take a little of the rose pink just to take that side of it. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of rose pink to her lips. Like that. We need to do the her little socks and her boots. So we're going to use the blue and the greeny colour for her socks and some white. So I'm going to start with the blue just up. Oh, oops, that's pink. This is the actual soft green. So I'm going to start with that up there. And one there. And then I'm going to take my blue. So I've done half in the greeny colour. And then I'm going to follow it through with the blue. Because I just want to make sure it stays kind of bluey green. And then I'm going to do the same on here. And then take this, just blend that across. Very sweet. And then with our pink, a little pink in here. And pink in here, and then I'm going to take the softest pink here, this lovely pale pink, and just pop it lightly on that section and on here and here, and then again just using our blender pen just to take it to white really. So there's a little socks done, and you can see how that's coming together now. So now we want to do her boots. So I've got these colours here. So I've got buttercup and pastel yellow, and I've also got tulip yellow, but which I'm not sure I'm going to use the tulip yellow. So I'm going to start on here. It's the actual boot I'm going to make yellow. I'm going to do her sole of the boot. Maybe a brownie colour or something, so we'll see. Okay, now I'm just going to use this ivory in the centre here just to kind of tone that all down just a little bit. So it's not like really yellow, it's just a soft colour. And I'm going to do this boot as well while I'm here. These toes rather. So we're just leaving like little light pieces to give dimension. So then just going around this part of the boot now, all around the edges here with the dark, well it's hardly dark, but the darker colour. And then our next one. And then finally ivory, and the ivory just tones the yellow down a little bit, I think. And then we'll put some of the ivory in there. I think the ivory might look quite nice as the sole. Yeah. There we go. I think that looks really cool actually. Pleased with that. Okay, so now we need to do the other boot. And we're just going to go across here. And then there's paler yellow. And then our ivory to finish. And on the little boot tongue again. around the bottom. Now I just want to add a little bit more gold around the actual darker pieces of the boot. Now it's going to look a bit weird to start with, I think, because it's going to be quite strong, but I just think it will look better for having that extra strength to give the shadowing that we need. And I'm just going to use my ivory to blend that through. And then the same up here. Like that. And that one is gold, by the way. There we go. So I'm just going to soften that. Like that. And then the same on the other side. And just keep going. Okay. And I just want to go over very lightly with my Buttercup just to bring some of the pale yellow back in around those edges, just to make it yellowy again, just in case, so that the ivory doesn't take all the yellow tone out completely. And then we need to really just let that dry. Next thing I want to do is the little bunny, and I'm going to go for doing him in the green, and I'm going to not put the blue too much onto him. So we're going to start with the darker colour, and then I'm going to use the tea green as my lighter blending colour. Okay, so that's the darker green at the moment, so now we're going to go over with the paler colour. And as you can see, I'm not going over every single inch of it because I am going to use my blender tool just to really just soften that all in. And what I don't want a lot of the time is like all of it green, because or whatever colour it is, I need it to sometimes have a little of the white to give the dimension. And there's the little bunny done. So the only thing I think we've got left to do now is her hair. I think that I would like to go, I don't want to go for the blonde colour because I think with the boots it's just going to look a bit top and tailed and not quite right. So I think I'm going to go for some browns. I'm going to go for sort of a nice kind of reddy chestnut brown on her. So we've got henna, which is a lovely dark brown, cinnamon. I've got black, but I may not need it. And then I've got satin again. So let's start with our satin, I think, to get a base colour laid down. So I'm taking my chisel tip. Then I'm going to work with my cinnamon just to add a little bit of darker colour. We know that it's not going to be at the roots, light at the roots, so we can start there. And draw your lines in the direction of the hair growth. Don't go against it, because that you'll find gets a much better effect. And then down into the end of her ponytail. Like so. And then we're going to use the very, very dark henna colour. Just add some at the roots. Gorgeous colour. Okay, and now of course we need to soften that down a bit, so we're going to go back to our satin, and I'm just going to try and blend that through just a little to just soften that colour all in together. And on this occasion I'm going to do it more in the circular movement just to try and bring that through, and I want a little bit more of this colour in here. Okay, and then I'm going to again go back with my henna and do a little bit more at the roots to try and add even more definition. Like so, and then again back with the cinnamon. And what this does is it's just layering up the colour, so it begins to build up a really multi-coloured, multi-textural look. And then I am going to use just a teeniest bit of the black up here, and I'm going to blend that in using the henna. And this is just to give it even more depth up in that section, like so. And then lastly, I'm just going to take my blender pen and I'm just going to take a little of the colour down in some of the places, just to again add a little bit of layering. And I just want to tidy this bit up. There we go. And just going around the edges here. Okay, so that's that little lady all coloured in, and I think that colour is going to go so nice with the colours of our paper. So the next thing I need to do is die cut her out. Now, I've got these great grand nestabilities. These are called Grand Decorative Ovals 1. And they're really, really nice. And I've taken the smallest one and I'm going to die cut her out. Now she should just fit in there, I'm hoping. Just. So we're going to pop her out of there. So I've cut out some bits on my grand caliber, and the first thing I want to do is just decorate the inside a little. So I've taken another sheet of the blue paper that I had on the front cover, and I'm going to stick that down on the inside. Making sure it's the right way up. Popping it in place. It just needs a little snip off the end here. And then I cut out this from these Majestic Elements Adorning Squares die. I used the first two to create this gorgeous die cut here. So I'm going to pop that down in the centre here. Position that like so. And then we'll put some sort of sentiment or something inside there. The next thing, as you know, I was going away to cut this, so I cut that out using that gorgeous grand ovals, and it's so pretty. And as you see, you can just caught the edge of the bunny there, and actually I think that looks quite nice. I'm quite pleased with that. I like the way that it kind of, she's now actually standing on something, so I think it works really, really well. I want to just ink around the edges a little with my pink Dusky Plum. So we're just going to take my sponge and very gently because of the points of our design on the oval, we need to just be a little careful when you come in like this that you don't bend them too much. Okay, so that's, again, you can just see how it's coming in off the edges, and it just gives it a bit of dimension. So we're now just going to start putting the rest of the card together. So the next thing I need to do is put some ribbon around my panel here, and I've got this gorgeous crinkle ribbon that I just got, and it's from Creative Expressions, and it's just really lovely satiny silky ribbon. So we're going to pop that around, and I'm just going to use a bit of adhesive along the back here just to help stick it in place so it doesn't wriggle around. I want to do a nice bow with it. So I'm just popping that there. I want a nice end so that I've got enough to do my bow. Pop that down like that. Turn it over. And then coming to about there. So again, cutting a nice length off it so that we've got plenty for tying. Keeps sliding away, it's so slippery. So I'm going to double knot it first because I think that'll be a lot simpler. I'm just trying to make sure it's tight. There we go. So we've got a nice knot there, and now we can do 2 bunny ears and under and through. Then just take that tail and pull it through as well, making sure our ribbon is straight. It keeps moving around so much, driving me mad. There we go. It's so slippery. Like holding a knot this time. And gradually you get to get the bow how you want it. I just want it nice and tight first. There we go, so it's a sort of up down bow, which is cool. And then we're going to just cut across and cut that way actually, like so. So that's our bow in place, and then this will sit on here like so, so the bow will be next to our young lady. We may need to cut that down a little bit more. Okay, so I've cut the ends really short, so by the time I put my little, I'm going to put a cluster there, it will look like there's no ends and it will just look like a bow, so that will be really cool. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is stick this down, so I'm going to use my pin flag glue gel and just, I'm not trying to create dimension at this point in time, but we have got ribbon on the back, so I think it'll be safer just to pop some blobs of this on to make sure it stays where it's meant to. Okay, so turn that over very carefully. Now I want it lower down to the bottom so that there's just a small gap at the bottom and then a bigger gap there. There we go. So cute. I'm not going to put my little girl on yet. I want to just do a couple more bits on here. So the first thing I want to do before I put my girl on is put some swirly beads on. Remembered I put these out. I've got some lovely pearl, little pearl flowers and pearl hearts in gorgeous little candy colours. So I want to put one of these little pearl hearts on the t-shirt here like that. I think that will look really cute. So I'm just going to get some of my pin flag glue gel and my little tool. Put a tiny bob of glue on her t-shirt and then very carefully lift it up and pop it in place. cute. Just push it down a tiny bit. There we go. I just think that gives an extra dimension, so we'll put that to one side for the moment while we carry on, and that can dry. Gorgeous swirly pearls from Creative Expressions, which I showed you that I got the other day. So I'm just going to be using these on my card here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip it in half. I'm going to use one element on one part and one on the other. So you're getting enough here out of two pieces. I'm going to take this first piece now. You just peel it nice and carefully because you don't want to lose the twirl too much, because it's always a bit of a pain, as you can see. Oops, I need my little girl because I can't see where I need the swirls to be. There we go. Just like so. And then the second piece is going to be coming from down the underpart side. And there's just that extra bit in there which is going to get hidden underneath, so I'm just going to snip that off there and we'll put that somewhere else so it doesn't get wasted by going underneath the piece of card. And we'll just let that swirl itself back round because it was being a bit naughty. There we go. There, that's that bit, and then we can just add this little spare bit just to come out from down the bottom here. Maybe like so. There we go. So that just takes that round that corner, and that looks really, really pretty. Okay, so now we need to put our little lady in place. So again, I'm going to use my glue gel for this very carefully because I don't want to knock that off the front, and I do want a little height on her, so because we've got all those bits underneath, so we're going to put a few blobs on. Okay. This gorgeous pink feather, so I'm going to pop that in there. So I'm just going to pull it out because I haven't glued it yet, and I'm going to put my pin flare glue behind the bow where, so I can pop the feather in. And it will stick down, and we'll just put a little bit up there as well. So then we're going to grab my feather, which is very static, and we're going to push that in place like so, so that we get it beautiful. And then I'm going to take my stick pin with the pearls, and I'm going to put one in there and another one, whoops, also in there, and that's in the pin flare glue like so. I think that looks really, really pretty. And then I'm going to take a blob of the pin flare glue again, pop it on the back of this gorgeous pearl button, and these are one of the Creative Expressions pearl embellishments. So we just just going to pop that in place on top of our bow. And as you can see now, that's hidden those little ends. And then I think, nearly lastly, I've got one more thing I think after this bit, maybe two. I'm going to pop a couple of flowers, just paper flowers, on here. So I'm just going to put a blob of glue on my card base here, and that's just where the two swirls meet. And we're going to put one there, just pushing it out and just trying to make the glue gel move a bit. There we go. So those two in place, and then so we've got a blue pink one and then a white one, just as a little cluster of flowers, which I think looks really pretty. Move that together a little bit more. There we go. There. I just want to put a couple of little pearls in the corner here, in the corners, each corner, to look like little pearl faux brads. There we go. And I just want to check inside, because I think I'd like to put a few pearls on the inside ones as well. Again, just to give it a little prettiness. So just on these little pieces here. Like so. I'm just going to take a little stickles. It doesn't really matter the colour long as it's not strong. I've got grape ice as it happens, but I'm just going to take a very small amount and just pop it on the edges of this oval here, just to give a wee bit of glitter. There we go. And you can just see that sparkling touch, just a tiny bit of glossy accents on her eyes, just to give that nice sort of shiny eye look, sort of dewy eyed. There you go. How pretty is that? Okay, so that's our card for today. I hope you've enjoyed making this with me, and I'd love to hear your comments, and do please subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye! you.